My name is Lisa Looney. I'm a professor of mechanical engineering, and my job is that of Executive Dean of the Faculty of Engineering and Computing in DCU. I chose engineering many years ago at this stage. It's over 30 years, and I've been asked to think about why I did that. Looking back, I think it's because I wanted something that would allow me to look at solving problems, but I didn't want something that was going to take me away from the maths and the physics that I loved. And engineering seemed to be that thing. But being very honest about it, I had no idea what I was getting into. I had a little bit of an adventurous spirit, I suppose, and I was willing to get into something that I didn't really understand. But for me, it was about not choosing right then and keeping my options open. And I knew engineering was something that would allow me to make choices further on in my career and to pivot and move in different directions depending on what the circumstances were. I wanted to travel as well, and I wanted to work in an environment where things kept changing. And definitely that is the one thing that certainly came true in terms of my career in engineering. There is never a typical day when you're an engineer. I chose later on to go into research. So at the time that I left university, job opportunities weren't very many. I had always wanted to travel, and I got an opportunity to go to the Netherlands to do a doctorate. Didn't really know why I wanted a doctorate, but I did want to work on an engineering problem over a number of years. I wanted to get my teeth stuck into something. And I found myself back in Ireland with a PhD in mechanical engineering and wondering what I was going to do next. At the time, DCU was building up a brand new engineering school, and part of me really liked the idea of a startup, which would be very typical of engineers. Many of us move into something that's a startup situation. And I got involved in building up the programs here in DCU. Later on, moved on to other roles. I became Dean of Graduate Studies, which has oversight of the research work that's done by students across all disciplines in the university. And then I came back to the faculty. It's a very large faculty. We have over 2,000 students all studying either computer science or engineering. About 16% of those are women, and that would be typical. It varies maybe between 16 and 18%, but that would not be very unusual. So one thing that's surprising to me 30 years later is that the ratio of female students to male students in the universities has not changed that much. It's changed a bit because it was coming from a very low base, but we have not at all cracked the problem whereby young women in particular don't see engineering as a career for them. And the reasons are many. One thing that has changed since I left school, I suppose, is the number of opportunities to get involved in exciting aspects of science, technology, engineering, or maths at school level. So if you think of things like the Young Scientist exhibition, which has been running a long time, that's now been joined by days that are run by organisations like IWish or CWIT or the STEPS Programme of Engineers Ireland. There's the Coder Dojo competitions. There are a huge number of informal ways where the science curriculum at school is supported by exciting, interesting project-based learning. But it hasn't really impacted on the proportion of young girls who then later sit down with their CAO form on the screen and pick a science or an engineering program. And one of the things I'm very conscious of at the moment is the extent to which the world of technology is changing. And it's changing in itself, but also it's changing in the degree to which it infuses all other sectors. So whether you're in education, whether you're in healthcare, whether you're in finance or manufacturing, technology is revolutionizing all of those sectors. There is going to emerge a new kind of divide. You don't have to dig very far to already find areas where women are not as well represented as men in terms of senior ranks, for example. But as technology infuses all sectors, there is the potential that the gender divide is going to deepen if we don't have enough young women who are entering into professions of engineering and the related areas. The opportunities that engineering provide are amazing. And it is a great pity for the individual young women who would thrive in engineering that they're not looking at it. I think the reasons now, having discounted the honours maths, and it's not really about not getting opportunities to see how exciting science and engineering can be, I think there are issues that we need to address around confidence and perceptions of risk. So often when I look across at an engineering class, you'll find hugely enthusiastic, very well supported young women who often have a dad or an uncle or a grandfather or somebody in the family who is an engineer. What you don't find is a lot of young women whose maths is good enough and who doesn't know anybody who's an engineer, but has picked it because they think it's a broad-based degree. It's going to serve them well in a technology-infused environment for the rest of their careers. But you do find those equivalents among the male students. So I think we need to talk to young women in schools about the opportunities that engineering represents, but also address the issue of the confidence they may feel in taking it on, and their perception that it's a risky option because it's not, it's not as easy to know what an engineer does in the way that you would know what a teacher does or a nurse does. But at the same time, the risk actually is greater to not pick something that's a broad-based, technology-based degree, because the future is that. I think it's really important to celebrate the International Women in Engineering Day for a number of reasons. One is to add visibility to those women who work in engineering, because as is often mentioned in soccer and in other circles, if she can't see it, she can't be it. And any opportunity that we have to raise the visibility of those women who are working in engineering has a positive impact in terms of how it's received or how young women are socialized around the idea of engineering. In addition to that, it does provide an opportunity for us to talk about the issues and to discuss the reasons why it's probably one of the few professions that are left where we haven't really managed to reach equity in terms of even university places. The pipeline and the experience of women working in engineering is another issue that's really important to discuss. And what I have found over the years is that colleagues within the university, but also across organisations, companies in Ireland and internationally, is that it is an opportunity and one of the few times where we get a chance to talk to our male colleagues about this issue. I've met incredible champions across my male colleagues. The issue of huge respect for diversity and the role it plays in good engineering. Engineers really are all about getting together the best team for a particular job, and my male colleagues here and across the world, those that I have worked with, have always valued diversity. It's pretty much an inherent value within engineering. And the International Women in Engineering Day provides us an opportunity and a structure within which we can run events for young women, but also make sure that young men in engineering and our colleagues who are male also get a chance to contribute ideas and to have their voices heard. Often it's much more important for a young woman to hear from a senior male engineer that women are welcome in engineering than it is to hear from somebody like me. So the day is useful for many reasons.